Hey guys, thanks for watching Beyond the Science 2. It's Mikexingchen. You know, life is like a bowl of cherries until you choke on a cherry pit. If you don't believe me, ask this guy. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that things happen and it's always good to be prepared for the unexpected. So in this video, to prepare you for the unlikely yet still possible cherry pit moments in life, we're gonna go over some life-saving tips that could one day, well, Number 1, if you get stuck in a riptide, do not swim directly to shore. Beaches are nice and fun, but sometimes they can be dangerous as well. Rip currents, for example, are real hidden dangers and they are not rare. That's why it's important to know how to handle them. A rip current is a channel of water that flows away from the shore and into the sea. Some rip currents can even pull up to 8 feet per second, and although it may be scary, don't panic. If you follow this tip, you're not gonna end up on a deserted island with only a volleyball to talk to. So if you ever do get caught up in a rip current, remember this: never swim against the current. People who do swim against the current usually panic, become exhausted, and eventually drown. What you should do is swim parallel to the current, and typically the currents are only 20 to 100 feet wide, so you won't be swimming far. And once you get out of the current, you can begin swimming to shore. But even if you don't know how to swim, try to go with the flow. If the current pulls you in, don't try to struggle against it. Once it depletes, that's when it's time to make your way to shore. Number 2, predict weather with your coffee. If you ever need to know the forecast but don't have an app or a smartphone or a TV, or let's just say you live in a cave and you want to know when it's going to rain. Well, if you have access to coffee, then that's doable. First of all, grab yourself a cup of coffee. This works better with cream and sugar since it's easier to make out the bubbles, and pour into a cup. When you do so, watch the bubbles. If you see that the bubbles are quickly moving to the edges, then it's a good sign that there's clear skies ahead for the next 12 hours. But if they move slowly to the edge, then you might get some weather, but it will clear up in just a bit. If the bubbles are stuck in the center, then you can expect rain today. Now, if you don't see any bubbles at all, then just pour it again until you see bubbles. This all has to do with the pressure in the atmosphere. Since higher pressures are mostly due to clear skies, a concave reaction would occur in the coffee, making the bubbles go to the edge. Low atmospheric pressures have characteristics of rainy weather, so it creates a convex that pulls the bubbles so they stay in the center. Number 3, use pants as a makeshift floating device. Every year, unfortunately, thousands of people die from drowning, and a fourth of those who drown are swimmers. So even if you think you're a strong swimmer, pay attention. Let's say somehow you end up in the water unexpectedly and struggling to stay afloat, but you happen to be wearing pants. All you gotta do is take your pants off and tie the ends together. Then fill the pants with air, put them half into water, and hold tight to the waist end. But make sure you keep the pants wet or they can disinflate. And I know what you're thinking, what if I'm wearing shorts or tights? Well, in that case, all you gotta do is tread water until help arrives because, well, you should have been wearing pants. Next up, relax when you fall from a building. Okay, if you ever get caught in a situation where you're falling from a building, and God, I hope no one is ever in that situation, but if you ever are, then make sure to relax your body. Yeah, this is probably really hard to do with all the pee that's coming out of you, but this can be your best tip to survive, because if you get too tense, there's more of a chance that you could harm your organs and bones. So try to bend your knees and land on the balls of your feet first, as it concentrates most of the impact on a small area. Also, I know this is common sense, but try to break your fall by grabbing onto an object, hitting a ledge, or anything else. This will break the momentum and increase your chance of survival. And finally, just remember, don't fall off a building. I mean, unless you work construction on high rises, or you're a rescue worker, or a Looney Tune character, or one of these idiots, there really should be no opportunity for you to ever fall off a building. But just in case you do, remember. Number 5, if your friend is getting electrocuted, hit them. Yeah, I'm serious. If you ever find yourself in a situation where someone is getting electrocuted, the first thing you should do is to get them off the wire they're probably touching. Or you can try to stop the source. And if it all fails, then hit them with a non-conductive object, like something plastic, wood, or rubber. But don't ever touch them directly, where you could end up dead as well. You really have to act fast in this situation, and if they really cannot let go of the wire, and you cannot find any anything to smack them with, but you are wearing rubber-soled shoes, then kick their hands free. Just remember, it's better for them to have a bruise or a broken arm than to be dead. Number 6, don't use water to distinguish fire on stoves. This might be common sense, but if you are ever cooking and your oil catches fire in the pot, then no matter what, do not use water to extinguish it. Now, the reason water works for firefighters is that firefighters use a great deal of water pressure, so they are able to put out fires that way. Since you don't have that kind of pressure, do the next best thing, which is put a lid on the pot. Fires are stimulated with oxygen, so when you cut the oxygen, they will extinguish. But if you somehow cannot find a lid for that pot, then pour flour or baking soda on top of the fire. While we're on the topic of fires, let's go to number 7. When stuck in a fire, crawl. A lot of people don't know this, but most deaths caused by fires are not from getting burned alive, but are from breathing in all the carbon dioxide caused by the flames. A way to avoid this is to crawl on the floor, since most of the CO2 rises to the ceiling. Also, if you're caught in a room with a window, you probably want to jump out. If you cannot immediately break or open said window, then buy yourself some time by stuffing a towel or clothes under the door to prevent the fumes from coming in. Then try to break the window by using any furniture or your fist or anything. Then just jump out the window and remember to relax. Number 8, this sounds kind of gross, but if you ever get stabbed, I mean, I hope you never do, but if something like that ever does happen to you, whatever you do, and it's going to be your first instinct to do it, but don't ever pull the object out of your body. It will make you bleed much faster. So keep that object in, cover the wound the best you can, and seek medical attention. Next up, if you are ever lost in the woods or the desert with just a little bit of food and you don't want to go all Bear Grylls and eat a decaying rat carcass, then try chewing gum. Well, if you have any gum, you should always have gum. Chewing gum will help you suppress your appetite and keep you from eating your supplies too quickly. Also, remember the number 3 when it comes to your survival. You can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 hours without shelter from severe weather, and 3 minutes without air. And finally, let's talk about bears, because if you ever watched the movie The Edge, you're gonna want to kill the bear and eat it, and that almost never works if you're not a Super Saiyan. So when it comes to bears, the rule is if it's a brown bear or grizzly, then play dead, because it's most likely the bear is attacking out of some sort of defense mechanism, either defending its cub or food. But when it comes to black bears, it's usually attacking you just because. So in that case, you've got to summon your inner Rocky and just fight, even though you're extremely overmatched. Fight as cheaply as you can with whatever is around, and hopefully you can get away alive. Oh, also, just another tip to throw in there, and I kind of remember this because somebody actually bought me the book, What to Do in Really Difficult Situations. And I remember, if you ever drive your car into water and you cannot open the door because of the water pressure, you can do one of 2 things. One is roll down your window, hopefully that still works. If not, wait till the car is completely filled with water, then open the door, because the water pressure at that point is not going to be forcing the door shut. Anyway, I always found these survival tips really interesting and really helpful because, like I said, you never know when you could be in one of these situations. And I always imagine, right, because I used to watch a lot of Bear Grylls and Man vs. Wild, I always imagine what I would do in those situations. I think I will put a limit at drinking my own pee. I think that will be a little too far for me. But everything else, if I have to eat a dead carcass, if I have to drink water from a muddy puddle, I could do all that. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other life-saving tips, let us know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you later.